Hi, it's me again. It's Chris with Preventive Maintenance, and we're on a job site building an addition on the back of a client's home. And today I want to talk about the installation of two different kinds of windows: a flange window and a fin window. So let me get turned around and we'll get started. Okay, so here are our two types of windows. This is a flange window. It's the most common. And we have this flange here. Okay, it's going to be a ½ inch out from the frame. This is a vinyl window, so it has a very thick frame because it's made out of plastic. And then you can sort of see the holes over here that are drilled in the frame. So the screws, the fasteners, are going to go through the frame and through the buck and into the concrete. So the fasteners need to embed into the concrete through the buck up there, a minimum 1.5 inches. This guy here, these are both awning windows. I love awning windows. I don't think they get their just reward. You get a big picture window look without a crossbar, like a horizontal roller or a single hung. And this guy is the fin install. Pardon my Gatorade. Right? So instead of going through the frame, through the side, like the flange, we're fastening to the front. There is no fin or flange. This is the fin. You can see some important stuff going on here. We've got this waterproofing green coating that is making this surface waterproof so we don't have cracks. Up top there, it's white. It can be pink, white, purple, green, it's all kinds of colors. You can't see it very well, but right here is the window wrap. I'll show you a little bit more window wrap later. And then the caulking is set behind the fin to the window wrap, and then the window wrap is caulked to the block opening. So even before we put the stucco on here to close this up, this is waterproof. And this is really important because when you put the stucco in over time, the stucco might crack. And if you don't have this kind of waterproofing with the wall wrap and the coating and the caulking, then the window will leak. So the first thing we need to talk about is the wood buck. And this is the wood buck. Typically a wood buck is 3/4 inches, but a wood buck is really our fudge factor. If the opening isn't exactly the correct size, we can cut our wood buck larger or smaller to accommodate. In this case, instead of a 3/4 inch buck, we cut a 1 inch buck because we needed to notch out for the mole clips that are holding this mole bar in place, and we knew that the mole clip was big. It's 1/4 inch, and so we didn't want to have too thin of a notch for the buck. And here's the mole. It's basically just this post in the center. Alright, so the guys are installing the window wrap. This set of window wrap happens to be silver. The stuff we have down here was black. No matter. And again, they're going to make this window watertight before we put the stucco around it. That way, if the stucco cracks down the road, we don't get a leak. Very important. Alright, so the guys have finished installing the windows up there. Awning windows. These windows are vinyl, so they're plastic. That's why these frames are so thick. They're 3 inches thick, very thick. They're also very energy efficient because they're plastic, not metal. Plastic doesn't conduct heat as well as metal does. And these glass panes are insulated, meaning there's two layers, two pieces of glass, and in between it is argon gas. So these are really efficient windows. And you see on this window, this is the fin install, the big 2x4 buck, right? It has to have that big buck because it's a fin install. And then up here, you'll see that you have the same frames, okay, but you've got that 1 inch or 3/4 inch buck, because that's a flange install and it's fastened through the buck into the masonry opening instead of into the front of the 2x4 like on this flange. Just as a comparison, over here is a aluminum window, and while it looks like the frame may be big on the bottom, that's really just to receive the slider there, the up and down slider, but much thinner frame. So these are also vinyl windows. The installation is complete. These are horizontal rollers. They're also vinyl insulated windows with low E tint, very high energy efficient. And you can see that the stucco has been filled in and the installation is complete.